Truck Talk Media.
C10 Talk, episode 276. Mr. Vice Grip Garage himself, Derek Bieri. I hope you enjoyed as much as I did. Tons of fun ahead. Here we go.
As far as square bodies or Chevrolet pickups, I've probably had 80 or 90. I think I have between 30 or 40 right now. And if you look at my driveway up by my barn where we work, there's 7 trucks up there, all backed in, ready to go, and they're all square bodies. Because you jump in, you turn the key, they run. They go down the road. You don't have to maintenance them. You don't have to do nothing to them other than slam the door 74 times to get it to close.
Damn, son. Seeing is believing. And our title sponsor, United Pacific, makes seeing a whole lot easier. The crispness of the United Pacific LED headlights, taillights, marker lights, and more makes seeing and showing your truck that much better. It's time to upgrade your old dim halogens for new LED headlights, taillights, and more. They offer the brightest and latest LED technology. Headlights are available up to 1600 lumens, easy to install, and it fits right in the OEM housing. How about upgrading to sequential taillights? They're DOT approved and ready to ship today. And for you 73 to 80 GMC and Chevy square body guys, they've got the new front parking lights, LED with stainless steel bezel. Think UP Car Parts. That's upcarparts.com.
Let me tell you what Melba Toast is packing right here. I've got 411 posi track out back, 750 double pumper, Edelbrock intake, scored over 30, 11-1 pop-up pistons, turbojet, 390 horsepower. We're talking some bucking muscle.
What does that do? Does that blow your mind? That just happened.
Welcome to C10 Talk, your C10 Truck podcast.
And now I have a chance to be the best, maybe the best in the world.
My old man is a television repairman. Got the ultimate set of tools. I can fix it.
I said I got 50 cents in that jukebox, and all I can hear is your mouth flapping. You hear that?
Here's your host, Ronnie Wedge.
Back in the saddle again. Ending 2023 on a bang. Yeah, how about that? How about a little Vice Grip Garage? Stoked to finally be able to kind of link up with Derek. He's a busy dude, obviously, and it was worth the wait because we had a great time, and I think you guys are going to really enjoy it. So first and foremost, Happy New Year. Hopefully 23 was good. I hope 24 is better. I know there's definitely some ups and downs. We won't really get into all the politics of the world, but I would say the politics of the Lions getting screwed out of the game last night by the Cowboys. I mean, come on. 68 declared. He should have been, it should have counted. And if you don't watch them sports, then you have no idea what I'm talking about. But Cowboys, you guys got lucky on that one. Okay, so again, the new year is around the corner. We've got some killer content already booked, locked, loaded. I'm pretty stoked about some of the guests we have coming up. So obviously we've got Derek. We worked on that one. We're going to take you out in style. 2024 right out of the gate, we're going to have Richard Rawlings. They are giving away the C10 skid marks. So they've got one of them deals where you buy some stuff and you get the truck, you get raffled, potentially can win the truck. Make sure I disclose that. You're not going to just get the truck. You're going to have the opportunity. So that will drop probably next week. We'll see. I'd like to keep a little bit of space between Derek and Richard, but I think they're going to start selling tickets on that one for January 4th, I believe. So I'll take a look at it. Nonetheless, we've got a lot going on. We are changing some things up on the pod. Going to have leads for each pod, and of course, I'll be the lead for C10. One thing I do want to shout out to you guys, and I know you're probably going to be like, wow, I'm ready to take on some other peeps behind the C10 mic. So if you're interested in getting behind the mic and you think you've got what it takes, C10, let me know. OBS, you're going to let me and or Mark Oya know. He's going to be the lead. We've got the Dodge, we've got the F100, and we've got Bronco. So if you're interested in any of those, we do have a few new pods that are probably going to come up or start in 24. I just got to get everything situated with the existing stuff. The BMX one, that one's kind of on life support. I'm not sure what's going to happen with that one, but as we kind of evolve, we definitely have some new things coming up. Looking at getting a full-time social media manager and or editor. Currently, right now, as of today, narrowing that list down. So I am excited about that. But just taking some of this stuff off my plate so that I can really focus on C10 and not spend as much time planning, prepping, and getting everything else ready, turning some of that over to the leads who really are the specialty or are kind of the knowologists of that area. So if it's the Dodge guys, that's their passion, that's their go-to, that's their shtick. Ford, Bronco, so on and so forth. So excited about taking some of that off my plate so that I can bring you more consistent, high quality pod. And yeah, we're stoked for 24. We're working on a lot of different things. So again, if you think you've got what it takes, I'm looking at it from the perspective of kind of like the magazine. If you're a tech guy and you want to come on and do some tech, if you're out and you're hitting all the shows and you think you've got what it takes to go live, especially on the East Coast, right? Because I'm not going to all the shows. So if you think you've got what it takes, you want to interview some people in your area, you want to get behind the mic, let me know. I mean, I'm not going to take on probably more than a couple people, but I definitely think broadening the world that we live in, the C10 community, you guys are out there. I can't be everywhere, and I'm down with it. I do think that it's the best thing for the community and what we have going on. So shows, tech, other coverage, other great interviews. Let me know what you got. You do get compensated, so that's kind of a cool thing. If you've got a little bit of a hobby passion and you think you can do it, let me know. Ronnie at Truck Talk Media, RONNIE at trucktalkmedia.com. I have had some other guys try, and I don't think it went as well, and I think they were like, damn, you kind of make it look easy. I'm willing to work with you, and if you can take some constructive criticism, and again, you've got to have the passion, and the gift of gab doesn't hurt for sure. So last thing I've got here really is that today is 123, so it is the 31st, the last day of 23. Tomorrow is going to be our open registration for the reunion, the third annual reunion truck show right here, River City, Chandler, Arizona. We've got the 5-story parking garage. This again is our third year. We're kind of going with a little bit of that blockbuster theme, rad rides and retro vibes, bringing it back. Always a good time. If you can make it out, it's going to be March 23rd, 24. So Saturday, March 23rd. Pre-show, Friday night, the 22nd, we take over the courthouse. That's QUART, courthouse. So some brew and some good food and some live music. We usually put about 10 to 15 trucks in this open bar area, and that's going to be on the 22nd. The 23rd, all day, Saturday, we're going to take over downtown Chandler. We've got the downtown park. We've got the 5-story parking garage, and it's always, it's kind of lit. It's a really good time. There's usually some Saturday evening events, whether that's dinner, that's cruising. So we always look forward to that. If you want to come out and you don't have a vehicle, spring in Arizona, the weather is always on point, and our host hotel is right across the street. You literally can walk to everything from the pre-party to the party to the hotel to all the entertainment downtown. It's all extremely close. It's in a kind of a tight, packed little area. So again, if you're thinking, hey, I wouldn't mind jumping out to Arizona, you're back east, and you want to experience a little spring break, you want to catch a couple spring ball games. Baseball is, everywhere down here at that time, and then we're going to have the reunion on the 23rd. So pre-registration for the truck folks is going to be tomorrow at 1 p.m. Arizona, which is Mountain Standard Time currently. And we are going to cap it at 600. That's all we can handle with the parking garage and the park and whatnot. We did 350 the first year, 500 last year. We're going to expand it just a little, and we're going to get 600 in. If you've got friends, family, folks that you like that don't have Chevs, and they've got, obviously Chev and GMC are what's going to be the most, but we're down with Broncos, we're down with F100s, we're down with Fords, we're down with other classics, Dodges, Toyotas. It doesn't matter because my perspective, and Sam and I have talked about this a lot, is it's really about the high school parking lot. You know, there's a lot of really cool stuff from the minis. If it's got a tailgate and it's older than 98, we want you. Register, you're welcome. So let your buddies know that might have something else. And it's good to get a little variety in there. Definitely believe that. How about BMX? Always love the BMX aspect of it. If you've got a cool retro rad BMX bike, maybe you want one, maybe you're just looking for an excuse to get one, throw it in your truck, and we usually have a few really cool bikes on display as well. So, okay, let's get into Derek Bieri. Derek, again, thank you so much for your time. We do have a little Hood Saver 6000 that's pretty sweet. So as soon as those come out, we will talk more about that and push those out. I'm excited to get a few sets myself because Lord knows I need them. I've got a few hoods that got some creases, and currently the big 76 orange and white 3/4 ton 4x4 400 small block 400 transmission, it's got a little cringe in the hood there, so I'm gonna be hitting up Derek and getting some hood braces on that. So all right, that's it. I hope you guys have a freaking awesome New Year's Eve. I hope that whether you're listening to this today or you're listening to it this next week, bring on 24. And as always, appreciate your support, appreciate you tuning in, and appreciate just the community overall. We couldn't do it without your support and listening. And I promise you, for 2024, which is going to be our 10-year anniversary for C10 Talk, we've got some kick-ass things coming your way. Thanks again. Be safe. Have a great night. Late. All right. Long time coming. Super stoked about this. If you don't know who Derek is, then you've been on another planet. I'm assuming you probably don't even know who I am, and you're going to know who Derek is, and you're listening to this damn podcast. So here we go. We've got Derek Bieri from Vice Grip Garage. Derek, love what you're doing at all times. I don't know how you keep up. I don't know how you sleep. Welcome to C10 Talk, my brother.
Hey, I'm happy to be here. It's kind of funny, actually. My boys and I are building a C10 right now in the barn. And I was like, oh, man, I got to go. We got to do this thing in like 10 minutes. So
you should have brought him on. I think it's Bradley, Bentley, and I'm not sure the oldest one. What's the oldest one's name?
Well, we got Bradley, Bentley, and Bailey. I got them mounting tires right now.
Okay. Got to keep
them
to work.
I don't want to do that. They can do that. Yeah.
One thing I will say, and for the audience, good luck with this because we're going to be all over the planet, but or in Derek's case, all over the farm. It's fun to see the boys grow up, you know, and even my personal social media or maybe like my C10 Talk social media, I get to look back with my kids. I took my son, like, okay, we're going to go to LS Fest. We're going to go to a truck show, and I put my kids to work, little slave labor at the booth. And it's cool that we've seen that same thing with you and your family where you'll post the Thanksgiving thing, you'll post something. And lately it has seemed like Bentley, I think he's the one with the mullet, right? Is he the youngest?
Yeah, he's the one with the mullet, yeah.
I love it. He's just his style, right? And I think you took him on the with the 78, the blue truck. But nonetheless, it's cool to see that, right? It's cool to see your kids kind of grow up right in front of us. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's for me, it's a blink of the eye, but I get a lot of comments like that, and I'm gracious for them because it makes me kind of slow down and reminisce a little bit. But yeah, all the time people are like, man, I remember him when, you know, he was 4 years old or 5 years old and you were building a 57 Chevy or that, you know, 65 C10. And here he is today, you know, he's welding and mounting tires right now in the shop and he wants to do it. It's not like you're going to do this. It's, can I help put that truck back on the road? And I couldn't be more proud. And it's not that, you know, I get asked this a lot. How do you get kids involved in, you know, anything mechanical or automotive related? I just present the opportunity and have the tools there. And if they ask, I'm all about it. But we don't force them into it. It's just fun to see that there's still that spark in the younger generation that I want to learn how to do this and get dirty and just figure things out. And I guess out of the three boys, one wants a first-gen Camaro. He's working on it. One wants a dent side Ford. He's working on it. And the other one wants a square body, and he's working on it. And they're all piles. They're going to have to figure it out before they get to high school because I ain't doing nothing. So, but that's just how I grew up is you want something, you're going to work for it. And it's just cool that the boys are in the trucks. You know, C10s is awesome.
Yeah, I don't think they had a choice. I mean, obviously, you've got a plethora of different varieties. Some of the '80s cars, it's unique too because by process of elimination, they can almost be like, well, I see what Dad has a difficult time of getting parts for. I see what Dad can keep running on the road. I see what kind of effort it takes. So I wonder if throughout the whole thing, they've kind of figured it out from that. And it almost might be fun to kind of interview the boys, whether you do something like that on your show or something. You're like, well, what's your scope for 5 years where, what makes you want that first gen Camaro? What makes you want that Ford? What makes you want that square body? And, for me, for us, for the audience, Derek and I kind of talk a little bit, both from, one from Montana, one from North Dakota. And my audience has heard it a million times over. GM just put that dash right in front of my face, and I looked at that dash. I mean, hell, my dad probably had I know he had a 12-pack here as a console, and he probably slammed the brakes a few times and probably said Custom Deluxe or Cheyenne or Silverado on my forehead. But yeah, we didn't have a choice, sitting eating sunflower seeds and hanging out with Dad in that marketing. So it'd be interesting to see why each kid, and that all three of them like something a little different.
Yeah, I mean, that's a good point. I mean, it might come up as a question. I guess I'll just try to answer it the best I can now. As far as square bodies or Chevrolet pickups, I've probably had 80 or 90. I think I have between 30 or 40 right now. And if you look at my driveway up by my barn where we work, there's 7 trucks up there, all backed in, ready to go, and they're all square bodies. Because you jump in, you turn the key, they run. They go down the road. You don't have to maintenance them. You don't have to do nothing to them other than slam the door 74 times to get it to close. And it just does the thing, right? And I think my boys are kind of picking onto that. And it might not just be Chevrolet bias, but these old vehicles, they're not made like that anymore. My wife's got a 04 Escalade, I think it is, or something like that. And we've put more time and money into that thing trying to keep it on the road than anything we've ever owned in our life. And it's just to the point now, it's like, I'm going to park the dang thing and you could jump in a crew cab and just take the kids to school in that thing because it's not worth it, But I think the kids are watching and seeing this, like you said, parts availability, ease of working on it, no computers, things of that nature. Not that LS swapping anything's bad, and that's a whole nother conversation, but I think they do kind of slightly pick up on these things that some of these old gems are actually worth their weight in gold if you just take care of them a little bit and just enjoy them for what they are.
Well, and another thing, if you have that many and they have that many available to them, well, then I think another thing that's pretty funny is the fact that they have, all the parts they can handle right there at their disposal. Also, when you don't have you're not sure and you don't have a roadmap. I mean, most people can go to YouTube. Hell, they can go to your channel, but you can be like, hey, Bentley, go out and the red 81 is going to have that part, and it's going to show you exactly what we need to be doing here because, maybe we don't know. So it is fun when you can just jump out in the back 40 and grab a couple trucks, grab some parts. I do that all the time. I'll just grab, I need a starter. Screw it. I'm not going to go to AutoZone. I'll just take one out of something that's sitting in the back, or a bolt, a nut, a high relay AC. You're like, well, just get another one. They're right there, and at this point, and maybe that's why these trucks are so valuable, because we keep buying them all, and they're not, growing up there and growing up in Montana, they're everywhere. I mean, they were parked, and for Arizona, we have the reservation, and you do as well. And you're like, that's a Ford family or that's a Chevy family. You could tell if a reservation family is either a Ford or Chevy family, because they don't sell them. They just park them, and they just keep parking them and keep parking them. And I don't mean that, negative. I drive from Arizona to Colorado, obviously from Montana back, and right away, you're like, yep, that guy's a Chevy guy.
Yeah. Well, I mean, even as farmers and ranchers, it was kind of a status symbol to, you had, like you say, you'd have, 5, 6, 7, 8 old Fords or Chevys out in the front yard, and you'd have your 5 international tractors that are dead, or John Deeres, or whatever they are. It was kind of like a moniker, right? Like we're we're a Ford International family, or we're a Chevrolet Massey Ferguson family, or whatever it may be. But a lot of people would be surprised to know that, you know, we had all makes in my family growing up. I mean, we had one of the trucks that I have the most fond memories in is a Denside Ford, actually. But we blew that up chasing pigs, and we got the Chevrolet used on a good deal. And that truck, for whatever reason, just stuck in my head. Like you say, I must have been bouncing off the dash pad and the door panel, and had a 4-speed, and it was gutless. I think it had a 305. But it was bright red, had a 4-inch lift on 33s with wagon wheel tires. And that thing is just burned into my memory. Right. And
that's America right there.
Right. And we pulled horse trailers and fed cows and chased cattle and went to town and hauled fertilizer, and I got hauled to school in it. And it's just, you know, if it was good enough for my father, why wouldn't it be good enough for me? And you kind of start looking at these trucks a little bit differently. And our junkyards back home are just riddled with old Chevrolet pickups. Every year from the early 50s all the way up to the mid 90s, we've got them upside down, stacked, sideways, forward, backwards, you name it. We got them.
Yeah, we think it's, you know, I got to buy this one because it's the last one. It could be the last one. And then, like you said, there's no shortage of these trucks. I mean, I interviewed a guy that was working on the assembly line a couple years back, and he said, I don't know if it's, I mean, he said it. So he said he was working on the assembly line in 80, 81. I think he said they were making a truck a minute.
Oh my goodness.
That's what he said. He's like, we were making a truck, and he talked about the fender bolts or washers and spacers, and he goes, you guys, you know, because we take 3 out here and tape them and mark it and make sure you put that back. And he goes, we had no clue. Chuck's down on one end, Larry's on the other, and they scream, add another damn fender washer. It's, you know, it's getting off, and they're just cranking these things off. And he goes, if one thing had a problem, they would just slide it over to the side and just keep them going. So. Yeah. That's what he said. I'm just saying. And when you see how many trucks are out there, you kind of you think, God, that's a lot of trucks.
No, it is, and it's remarkable. And you know what's even crazier than that? If you're talking 80, 81, you think back to like 1928 to 1931. Ransom E. Olds and Henry Ford were also creating the same amount of vehicles on primitive assembly lines with not air equipment, with just bare minimum tools. Obviously, the vehicles were primitive compared to today's standards, but it's crazy how we keep coming back to where it originated, right? Like, we finally hit this mile marker. Well, we did that, 60 years ago, 70 years ago, or whatever it is. But it's just crazy to think how many vehicles we could produce. And then, like you say, people think, well, that one's super rare because it had a cigarette lighter delete and no dome light. Well, there's 54 kajillion of them. It's just, you don't need to overpay for that specific one.
The one thing that I like about some of the old, Chevs and stuff is when you'll find a truck that actually doesn't have anything. So it has a radio delete and it doesn't have an antenna hole in the cowl. And it has crank windows, and it doesn't even have a cigarette lighter. So you think, oh man, whenever that truck came out, nobody wanted that because it was so bare minimums. And the other thing that cracks me up, right, was that was $8 more to put a cigarette lighter in, or an AM FM radio, or just say AM, was $6.
Right.
And they're like, nope, not gonna do it. We're not spending the money.
Is some guy at a desk was patting his coat pocket saying, I got a cigar lighter right here. Why do I need one in my truck? Yeah, one of my favorite square bodies today is the 79, which is kind of newer, right? 80 to me is like a new square body, I guess, which is probably controversial, but
no, that's crossover, right? I mean, you're looking at 80 square headlight, round headlight, however you want to look at it.
Yeah, so I got a 79 that has dummy lights, radio delete, cigarette delete, antenna delete, dome light delete, rubber floor. It has. The guy went through the options and said no on everything you could think of. And it was painted Forest Service green, which is probably the cheapest paint they had, I imagine. And no one wanted that truck. The farmer did. It's a long bed step side, 6-cylinder, 3-speed, right? But today I look at the truck and that thing's a sweetheart. I love it. I drive it to town all the time. It's quirky. It's weird. Maybe no one still wants it, but I love the thing. It's just different,
But that's what's so cool, because it is, it's that human perspective of, hey, nobody really wanted this old girl. And now I've got a gem because nobody, I always look at 60, just say 67 to 72 short beds, true short beds. And they've been just raked over the coals, very hard to find. But it's so funny that you could still find such a gem in a long bed. Well, that's because, hey, for however many years, she only had 2 owners, and one of them was a papa and one of them was somebody, somebody else. They always just took such good care of them. But then you get your 72 Cheyenne, and she's just been worked over, a couple little wiring jobs here. The AC thing, the cardboard insert just been 3 times over. And so what do you want? You want that gem? You want that long bed step side that she's still the girl next door. And maybe she was a little ugly, but she's got her place now.
I'm just sitting here thinking, I've kind of been pondering this for a while, and maybe this is just common knowledge at this point.
Ponder away. This is good. This is a segment, Pondering with Derek.
There you go.
We just be like, this thinking thing.
It's non-fictional storytelling time. So like you were just saying, the short boxes. Well, the guys that are buying short boxes, even today, you buy a short box pickup today, you're not a contractor. You're not using the truck. It's a status symbol, or it's a haul my, super expensive boat to the lake 3 times a year truck. Let's face it. Well, back in the day, it was probably the same. So if you think about it, the long beds, the fleet sides and the step sides, and these trucks with 411 rears and the 6 cylinders and the 3 on the trees, they were bought by farmers and ranchers to be a legacy truck. They knew that they were extending themselves. I'm going to own this truck until the day I die. Like you said, Papa had it. And he probably only put 35,000 miles on it, but they were hard miles. And then someone inherits them. Well, they never got sold because just, again, no one really wanted that truck. But to me, those gems are those trucks, the 75,000 mile trucks, the 120,000 mile trucks. And they seem to all be long beds because they were just on those farms and ranches, and they were more utilitarian than the short beds, which ended up hot rods. Let's face it, since the early 90s, late 80s, they were all hot rods. And like you said, they've had 42 wiring jobs, 78 stereos, 7 different transmissions. The cross member holes are all bored out. It's had 9 different rear ends. They're sloppy anymore, and it's hard to find a good short box.
You might have liked that girl when you were a junior, but so did everybody else. So I'm just saying. And where that's more evident, I think, than anything is right now, and I'm completely biased as a 50-year-old, is the OBS trucks. So when you think, because we've seen it from inception of 88 to a short bed, whether that's a 4x4, whether that's a 4x2, whatever that is, but now you still can find a long bed 90, 94 Papa that's a 9 out of 10. Under 100K miles, maybe 120, got a little couple cigarette butts in the thing. And it's, nobody wants that. Nobody wants a single cab OBS, but you watch, it's going to happen. Same thing's going to happen because eventually those short beds are going to get just ridiculous. And they're just worked over because they've been through 3 or 4 owners and the doors are sagging and it's just not that OG. So, and I think in the Ford world, it's probably quite the same. A clean, I think a Ford OBS is, and I'm obviously not a Ford guy, but an OBS is just a sexy truck. Now their NBS truck might be Ford's ugliest truck of all time. I'm going to say it might be out of the big 3. I don't know much uglier than a Ford NBS.
Is that the egg looking trucks?
That's 98, 97 up. They did this. You got your OBS Lightning, and then you got your 2nd gen Lightning, and they just tried to get all plasticky and just
They look like they're
And
melted or something. They came out of
they
a
look
lava
just
lamp.
like they look like you put it in the microwave and it just freaking, yep. And you see them too
Yeah.
in steppers, and they're just horrible. And I think they might call them fleet sides for, fleet and flare or whatever. But either way,
Yeah.
I think you're going to see that in the OBS trucks where you'll see, and I'm sure you see it up there too a lot, because those OBSs, there's still a lot of them running around too in those long bed farm trucks,
Yeah. Yeah. I have a truck that I've never showed anybody. It's not on the channel or the TV show or anything like that. It's a 94 OBS.
Classic Performance Products, CPP back. Let's talk X10 spindles. Go.
One of our most popular parts through the years has been our 2.5-inch drop modular spindles. Really popular part. Well, we've kind of taken that to the next step. We've emulated late model Corvette, Silverado, Chevy technology into our new X10 drop spindles. They use a steel hub, sealed bearing hub, really strong piece. It's oversized bearings, definitely great for a guy using big brakes, big wheels, which I'm sure all your guys are.
You need a new spindle anyways. You're going to lower your truck. You're running a bigger wheel, a bigger brake. CPP, classicperform.com. It's classicperform.com.
Sniper 2. Are you ready to switch out that old carb for a modern EFI system? Well, Holley has a solution for you. The all-new Sniper 2. This new system was redesigned from the ground up. Available in tumbled polished or black powder coat, and there's 3 available tuning interfaces. A classic 3.5 handheld, a 5-inch mountable, which includes a GPS speedo or a Bluetooth module so you can use your smartphone. Another big bonus is the Sniper 2 has a built-in transmission control module. So if you're looking to upgrade to a 4-speed overdrive, 4L60, 4L80, you now can with ease. Holley.com to get started today, Holley.com. Hey guys, let's face it, your truck suspension is old, and your ride can be so much better. Discover QA1 and their full range of truck, suspension components, drop kits, and coilover conversion systems. QA1.net. That's QA1.net. Marquet has been in business for over 40 years. Marquet has grown to be one of the country's premier truck parts manufacturers. They have made their original parts from the original trucks. All parts are manufactured in-house in Oklahoma City, USA. They offer quality parts built by Americans for old American-made trucks. So when you're looking for body moldings, bed strips, bed wood, and so much more, think Marquet. That's mar-k.com.
Yeah, I have a truck that I've never showed anybody. It's not on the channel or the TV show or anything like that. It's a 94 OBS. It's my daily driver. I call it Project Confidential because we never show it. But you nailed it. You hit the nail on the head. I am buying these OBS trucks left and right. $1,100, $900, $2,400. A mint one with original paperwork for $4,000. I'll buy it because it's the next thing. It's redneck retirement. We stuck them away in the barn. And in 10 years, that thing is going to put my kid to college. I know it will because we've lived through the 70s and 80s trucks, right? So it's coming. We know it is. And I'm trying to get ahead of it before it gets just out of control. The SS 454 OBS trucks are going to go bonkers here in probably 5 years. They already are madness, but I think they're going to go absolute bonkers.
Yeah, anything. So the Sierra GT, the Indy, obviously the 454s, anything that was a little bit different, they're going to keep going. And history, it doesn't take a genius to figure it out. We've seen it in the 67 to 72s. The only one I don't think we really saw, and we've talked about it quite a bit on my channel. I feel like your wife likes these because it seems like she always ends up with them, at least on the channel and social medias, is the we call them loaf of bread truck because the way they are, but your 64 5.6s, 60 to 66, however you want to look at it. But I've seen you guys have a few of those. I think you had one on Hot Rod Power Tour, but I feel like it broke down or didn't make it. But either way, I don't know that they've ever really got their heyday. I know for a while in our scene they got a little bit of love. A guy named Delmo and Dino, he really likes them, and they got a little bit of pop, but overall nothing compared to the 67 72s and then the square bodies. And square bodies are just so many of them.
Yeah, I think I don't really know why, but it seems like we jumped completely over those trucks, which is look, I'm okay with that because we've been stockpiling them. I mean, we're buying every kind we can, short boxes, step sides, long beds. Jessica absolutely adores them. So when she sees them on the face space or the Instalator, we're snapping them up, and we're just trying to get as many back on the road as we can. And you're right, they're not as hot. And for me, I like that Viking hood look. I like the sharp edges and the sharp kind of, I don't know how to explain it, but it's just more raw and rough and rugged and Western to me. And I really like those trucks. The 67 to 72s, they're good looking pickups. Personally, I don't own one. I don't have to have one.
Wow. I'm surprised that you don't have any at all.
I have 0 67 to 72s. Zero.
Okay, so let me just tell you where your redneck retirement is just kicking your ass here, because here's the deal. I've seen them in your channel where they're in the background and you're walking in and you're buying all these Chevrolets and you're buying the square bodies. You got to buy those because that's the money. I mean, I'll tell you, especially because if you can find a decent cab, a decent like 71, 72 cab. I mean, obviously they're all the same. Doesn't really matter. 67 is a small back window. That's the only thing, but everything else is going to be the same. There are a few little things. 71 has one little thing different. And that's going to be your rear view mirror. Nobody else has
on
that.
The glass for the cab. Yeah.
Yeah. But 71 has a pop out. So it actually has a metal pop down. It's kind of unique. I think it's kind of cool. I wish they would have done on 72 as well, but nonetheless, that cab's worth a lot of money. Now, obviously, where you're finding them, there's going to be rockers and so on and so forth. But nonetheless, that shit's worth money. I'm just saying it's worth those OG parts. And obviously, it's not going to be NOS, but it's going to be original GM, and they bring money. So now you know. If you didn't know already.
Yeah, I might have missed the train on that one, I guess, because for me, it's like the heartburn of because a lot of these old trucks we're buying. I mean, we're getting them for pennies on the dollar, right? Then you get into that 67 to 72 range and they want $4,000 for something that has a missing rear end and no engine and transmission and the rockers are gone. And you're like, holy smokes, how can I, maybe you can make money on that. Like you said, you doll the cab up, but it's like, I just don't have the time or space commitment to sock that away, I guess. I would rather focus on something I can get on the road. And maybe that's my pitfall is I should be buying those and putting them on railroad ties and blocking them up and putting them away. But I just don't know that I have the time and energy and the commitment to the financial input to make that happen, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, you're right on that. It depends, right? It has where the percentage of the yield is probably smaller because you're buying in at a higher factor. But I just think you have the power, you hold the leverage, because even if let's say the guy's got he's got X amount of trucks and 4 of them are the 6772s, right? Well, you got the leverage because it's like, well, you're going to let it sit for 5 more years or you want to take the money now? I'll buy 2 of them, 3 of them. And then it becomes a pain. Well, how am I going to, if they don't run, am I going to get them up on the trailer? How am I going to, so I get that. But a lot of these trucks are still out there and they sit in that field. And then the other thing that's really good is the patina. So you get the patina and obviously it's a balance. How much patina goes over to rust? Well, cancer is not patina and patina is not cancer. So that becomes a big issue where I just went and looked at a Blazer the other day and it had 24,000 original miles. This thing was so clean. 78. Okay. I'll send you pictures. The interior, well, I walked away from it and I'll tell you why. It was in Indianapolis. He drove it up to Michigan a couple times to go snowmobiling and whatnot. And I walked up, dropped the tailgate down, and you could just put your finger right through the lip of the rear of the bed, where the bed and
I
the
know
tailgate.
exactly where you're talking, the flat.
Yep. And it was just like rusty, crusty, and looked like some old cheese that, and I was just like, hey, I'm sorry. Just not for me, and that's the balance, right? But yeah, I don't know. It'll be interesting to see. You'll have to say, hey, this guy wants 2,800 for this old long bed here. Is it worth it? Because 70 long beds, just give you an example. If it's a 9, I sold a 9 on a 10 for $14K, probably a 2 owner. But it was a 9. I'd say it was a 9 out of 10 for Russ. But yeah, you're gonna get $8,000 for a decent running long bed all day long in that second gen era of 67 of C10s.
Okay, well, I'll keep that in mind. I might have to just dip my toe a little bit and try to snag one up. Jessica likes them too, actually. Well, I guess that doesn't make sense because she likes everything from 1950 to 1996 Chevy pickup. So it's a huge, it doesn't matter. I bring it home. She's like, yes, that's good.
Well, you're lucky.
So,
she likes you. Lucky. She likes you and she likes trucks. You're already batting 1,000 because there's a lot of guys out there where it's like, babe, and they're like, no, you can have 1, maybe 2, no more.
Yeah, I got pretty lucky there. Well,
she's an enabler.
Actually, and it's becoming more challenging though because we haven't been able to sell like we used to. I mean, we used to, we'd bring in 2, we'd sell 4. That's just how we funded the operation. And anymore, man, we've got so many tire kickers, and will you take a monkey NFT and can I do a payment plan or just flat out tire kickers that we haven't been able to sell much. So now I'm becoming the crazy guy that you stop and go, can I, well, I'm going to fix it someday. And I've got these fields full of trucks, but it's just because like we've realized that no one really wants to actually buy anymore. They just want to kick tires. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's just, I'm not in that time frame in my life where I have the time to tell stories and reminisce and walk a junkyard,
That's a great question. Let's say that you have 80 trucks, or I can't remember, you got a plethora, right? That some are running, some are not, whatever. Do you ever get to a point or consider saying, hey, I need to put this and create a website and whether it's tied to you so people know that, or maybe not so people don't know, but hey, this is what I've got so that I can reach out to a bigger audience and sell it all and say, hey, you can go on the website right here and every truck we have is, there's 6 pictures. We'll give you 10 more. And then thought about that from a broader audience versus somebody coming and actually kicking the tires.
Yeah, we've actually, that's a great point. So like I say, we have a huge eBay store. We've sold, I think over 1,700 cars in that, but we actually shut it down. I actually changed usernames for a couple reasons. One was, vehicles were being bid up beyond realistic retail, and then no one was following through with the payment. And eBay doesn't have any ramifications for people that are bidding and then don't pay. Whereas a seller, you still have to pay the seller fees and you get docked and you have to relist it. And undoubtedly you make less than the vehicle originally sold for. The other thing that bothered me even more than that was just because of the show name, or people were more familiar with the vehicle, or it had some sort of nostalgia because it was on a show or a TV. People were wanting to overpay for these vehicles, and I didn't like that. I'm not about squeezing every penny out of every vehicle. I don't want to do that. I just want to move the car to someone that can enjoy it and move it to the next level. So I felt like I was part of that percentage of people that was artificially increasing the market for no particular reason. And I don't like that. I want people to be able to get into project cars for their son or their daughter or their friend or their wife or whoever, and have money left in their budget to actually fix the thing how they want to fix it and keep it on the road. So we take those funds and reinvest them in our business. Like right now we're building another barn to hide more C10 trucks and things like that from the weather.
Redneck retirement.
There you go. But we try to have them leave better than they came in, if possible.
Well, I feel like you're a bring backer, right, as well. So not only are you recycling, you're creating, really, whether you realize or not, you're creating jobs because you're buying parts, you're bringing them back to life, you're getting them. Yep. I always think like if some of these trucks knew how lucky they were, they're sitting out there in the field. I'll give you an example. I bought a vehicle for under 5,000 off of the res, and it had been sitting there for probably 15 years. And it holds a record at a local auction. I'll put it to you that way. I didn't build it, but I sold it to the guy that built it. Well, and I just think that freaking thing went from being under the sagebrush and rotting, and now it's got a whole new lease on life of, I mean, amazing, right? So nonetheless, but you also are a content machine. So you're like, hey, I got to bring them in, make content, and get them out. And if I'm not getting them out, and the other thing I think that's really kudos for you is it's you're smart. And the reason why is maybe your wallet isn't showing it because you're not milking every penny, but you're saying, hey, I could see the forest from the trees. If this thing gets so far out of whack and I'm making so much money, kind of a la Richard Rawlings, it's like I'm making so much money off of my name and these people are overbuying. They're going to be upset. They're going to not like me. The truck's going to break down or the vehicle. And at the end of the day, we're jacking the price up so much. So maybe 2 years from now, people won't even be wanting to buy shit from me. And so the way you're doing it to me does seem like it's a little bit more, you have a little longevity instead of getting in, getting out, and people being like, and I tell people all the time, don't overpay for this stuff because you're just going to be pissed off that you overpaid. And it's not really that guy's fault that sold it to you. It's partially your fault too.
Right. Yeah. I just want to hopefully be a vessel to just pass a good deal on to somebody. Right. I don't, like you say, I'm not here to make a big buck for a short time. I don't necessarily want to, if I can wash my hands of it and just get it to somebody that has a deserving reason why they want to build it and enjoy the vehicle, I'm happy with it. Because the alternative is, like we were talking a few minutes ago, I'm going to have 100 acres full of C10 trucks that I am not going to realistically be able to touch. They're going to turn into parts trucks. I need that quarter window. I need that bumper. Give me that turn signal, that tail light. Pretty soon, it's just a scrapyard. And these trucks aren't going to leave the yard. And my wife at that point would start griping a little bit. You know what I mean? So I do realize that. And I just want to stay grounded and help others get into project vehicles in an affordable fashion, and hopefully be the bottom end of that fish tank, right? There's always going to be these shiny things way up there at Mecum, these beautiful C10 trucks like that Seafoam green and white one that folded the hood in half the other day.
Yeah.
But if we're at the bottom where I have a $2,500 truck that's a short bed 76 with AC that I'll sell for $3,000, why would you not want to do that and just build it the color you want and the options you want, So I hope to hang on to that for eternity. And I think, God willing, I will. As long as I'm standing upright, we're just going to keep selling these cars, because you got to think about it. I purchase between 50 and 80 cars a year for the shows. So I can't keep them all. They have to. There has to be some attrition, right? So
does that get overwhelming? I saw a post that you had earlier this year, and you're like, I'm just tired. Like I'm tired. And I think because you're so genuine and your audience sees that, feels that, there's zero fake with you. At least that's the way you come off to me as a viewer. Is it overwhelming, like, to think like, hey, when we started this channel, we're having fun, and now we're buying 50 to 80 trucks, cars a year. We've got, not only do we have our YouTube show, we've got obviously the Motor Trend show, and you're like, hey, I got to buy a lot of cars. It becomes a lot, I assume.
Yeah, no, it has turned into, well, let me word this carefully. It's still a hobby. It will always be a hobby. But the hobby is now married to a full-fledged 7-day a week, 365 days a year businesses, multiple businesses. And it's disheartening sometimes. And I still try to read the comments, because I will always be that guy with 2,000 subs that I'm reading the comments and responding. I will never lose that. But it's disheartening sometimes to read some comments like, when are you going to do another revival? When I just drove something back 700 miles. And it's like, you wish you could sit down with that person and explain, I don't know what you did this week, but I sold 5 cars. I bought 3. I transported 2. I flew to 2 states. I filmed 50 hours. I wrenched 20. I've edited another 5. I'm doing books. I'm doing invoicing. I'm doing purchasing. I'm doing parts requisition. I'm receiving. UPS trucks come here 4 times a day. I mean, it's a full-fledged business, and it's no smoke and mirrors. I don't have a staff. I don't have a team. I don't have employees. It's my wife and I and my kids. So we work a lot. And that was one time that post you're referring to where I felt like, you know what, I've broken like that a couple times, but I feel like I need to voice this just because if I do lack in content, I want people to understand why and just be raw about it, that I'm tired. I just mentally, physically trying to understand what's happening. I mean, we've got all sorts of schedule boards and diagrams and calendars and flow charts, and there's only so much of that in a day you could take before you go, I just want to go drive an old truck and do a burnout and just exist or go back to the high school days, but we don't. We have to find that reset button. But man, it is a lot of work. It's hard to explain, but it is a lot of work.
Well, you almost enable us as an audience and because you do make it look easy, but I think from the human perspective and looking through comments, 98% of the people, when you hit your pressure relief, they are very understanding and thankful and understanding, because you literally, you have your family with you. We get to see the whole family thing. And if anybody has anything other to say than the family comes first, that's it. That's it. So I've got a balance. I assume I've got a balance. I'm lucky that my wife enables me, supports me, loves what we're doing. The boys love what we're doing, but I still I just want to eat dinner with my family. You guys, I just want to have mashed potatoes and steak. And I want to talk to my boys about their day. And I just want to feel that. I want an hour and a half. And I got to think, when you lay your head down at night, or for me, it's always the shower. I tell my wife I need like a dry erase thing in the showers because my brain's got 16 ideas in the shower. And I got to think, when you get out of the shower and then you lay down and you're just like, babe, like, I got to turn it off. And it's not easy to turn off.
No, it's, we're so passionate about it that we don't sleep a lot. I mean, there are many nights that my wife and I, she's adapted. We'll wake up at 3-4 o'clock in the morning. We'll have a idea session. We'll write content ideas down. We'll start working on our scheduling. We'll talk about where we want to go. One word we talk about a lot is legacy. Where we want this to land up for our kids and what it means for them. We don't want anything given to them. We want them to earn it. But what does that roadmap look like, and how does that affect their lives? And then we'll lay down again for an hour or two. Then we'll get up again, and then it's another set of ideas. Hey, this is what we got to do, and we're over coffee, and then it's back to work. But that's the path we chose. I don't want to sound like I'm complaining at all. I mean, we enjoy every minute of it, and we're extremely blessed. But it is absolutely full throttle. But I'm glad, because all the comments and messages that we get about how, it changes people's lives and it's motivate them to get their trucks on the road, or they've bought a project for their daughter and them, or whatever it is, that is the fuel that feeds this rocket, that just keeps pushing it forward, is the appreciation of, like you said, there are a large group of people out there that get it. Like, we're seeing it more these days. Like, when do you sleep? When do you eat? Are you taking care of yourself? And it's good to see that people are starting to realize that, we're not here for a short time. We're going to try to be here for a long time, but it's a lot of input to make this happen.
Hey guys, are you thinking about swapping out your old motor for a more reliable LSLT based power plant? Behind each PSI harness, you get over 10 years of experience in the business, online tech support, phone support, and harnesses made in the U.S. That's psiconversion.com.
Need C10 parts? Well, here at Pro, we actually have trucks. We build them, we drive them, and we deal with them every day. It's just part of who we are. We carry the best products for your truck project from the major name brands such as QA1, React, Painless, Dakota, Beltec, Borgeson, Bear, and even more. Give us a call or check us out on the web.
You've heard me talk about my gauges, Dakota Digital. I love them. Dakota Digital has the best gauges for our trucks. These kits are complete with sensors for any engine. They look just like the stock clusters, but have all the technology you'd expect from Dakota Digital. It's like a modern truck, but even better in a classic. Dakota Digital is absolutely the best in aftermarket gauges, so check them out at dakotadigital.com. dakotadigital.com.
We're seeing it more these days. Like, when do you sleep? When do you eat? How are you taking care of yourself? And it's good to see that people are starting to realize that, we're not here for a short time. We're going to try to be here for a long time, but it's a lot of input to make this happen.
Yeah, there's only so much Derek, and there's only so much Jessica, and there's only so much to go around. So it's totally again, it's just one of those things. It's the man in the arena. One of my favorite quotes is essentially, you're in the arena and you're doing it nonstop. And at the end of the day, a lot of people are watching. You're giving us that opportunity, but there's only so many hours in the day, and you got to sleep, you got to eat, you got to come up with content and keep it cranking,
Yeah, for sure.
What's something when you guys sit down, what's something that's when you think about like the challenges that you guys have? Because I feel like, again, there's only so much Derek, but now you went from, you do a lot of content where it started and you were just finding them, fixing them. And then you became, that next level, even though you're wanting to be at the bottom of the fish tank, you're swimming up in the fish tank and you're going all over the country. You're being endorsed, obviously Holly, you're going to Bristol, you're getting those amazing experiences, but those are fun, but you're having to find that balance too. And how does that, that's got to be challenging within itself.
No, it definitely is. And obviously there are a lot of other content creators out there. There's billions of them, right? And we're blessed to be one of the top 120 automotive YouTube channels in the world. But with that comes, how do you stay relative, and how do you stay new and fresh, and how do you keep up with everybody, but also stay true to yourself? Well, the fact of the matter is, I would rather stay true to myself, which is why we aren't running over European cars or blowing stuff up or doing any of this. And I'm not saying anything negative about that. That's some people's niche, but we're never going to stop doing what we do. But at the same time, how do we keep that fresh? There's only so many, let's fast forward 20 years, after the 900th square body of dumping fuel down a 350, when does that get repetitive? Right? So it's like, like this, I just got we're called a Lamborghini. It's a,
oh my God, I saw that. What the hell?
Yeah. It's a nightmare. But it's like, you know what? It's fun. It's refreshing for me. I don't know what I'm looking at. The viewers aren't going to know what they're looking at. It's fun. It's different. This is try it. But that's
for the audience, whoever crafted that, again, you guys will have to, this is a 1 trillion, seeing is believing. You got to see a picture, but it looks like an 86 Lamborghini Countach. They cut it. I just, I saw you posted on social, and it's like, and then I'm like, wait a minute, that's that's 3/4 inch plywood. What the hell's going on here, or something, So obviously it's a wrapped, it's a Beretta that's wrapped up here.
Yeah, it's a Beretta in the rear, the front of a Beretta welded to the front of a Fiero, and the rear steering is all welded. It's the most terrifying, scary vehicle I've ever seen in my life. But yeah, the gentleman spent 5 years crafting wood together and cutting angles and sculpting it and everything else. And I just thought it'd be fun and different. And then we could get back to the old school stuff, right? And just kind of keep the traditional content going. But it is difficult because at times you feel like you're being surpassed. In a lot of ways we are, but I don't want to lose sight of what we are, or where we started. So I think we're always going to be that traditional, budget rebuild, budget refresh, find an old rig, get it going. What's the minimal it'll take? Because let's face it, 80% of the people in this country are in that position. They don't have a credit card with a $30,000 balance that they could just rack up and make a car run. It doesn't work that way. They've got $800 in 2 days. Can I get this car home? Can I make it work? Can I make it run? And can I drive it to work next week? Because that's how I grew up, except it was to get to school, essentially. But I think we're always going to try to stay grounded in that, but we might start reaching out. Like you said, we've done some racing. We've did some monster truck stuff. We did some super stadium racing. We've done some, oval asphalt racing, which I do a lot of that off camera, dirt and oval asphalt racing. And just kind of highlight that, a redneck can also do those things if you really wanted to. You don't have to be someone super special or have this big driving prowess, which I don't. I'm just a country boy that's good on sliding around gravel roads, and I work hard and I get an opportunity to race and I do it.
Yeah, you've got a video of the what do you guys call it? Something Chevelle. Starts with the CC something Chevelle. I got
Cowbell Chevelle.
Oh yeah, the Cowbell Chevelle. You're ripping that thing like Bo and Luke Duke, man. That thing, and it looks just. You could almost do more slow mo because you're not out of control. It's organized chaos for sure. It's floating on that gravel road, and it looks pretty sexy when you're doing it.
Yeah, those are roads that I actually grew up on. I know those roads like the back of my hand. I could be, 22 cold snacks in, snoozing in the passenger seat, and I could tell you, medium left 20 feet, just based on feel. That was a big part of it. But building a budget 307 with the right camshaft carbon intake to just hold 6,000 RPM with a power glide, and it's just budget. We had like $3,200 into that Chevelle total. And it was the most fun I had in a very, very long time. And just sliding back roads, having fun. And that's where I learned 99% of my dirt track racing is just gravel. It feels the same. It's very similar to a slicked off dirt track.
Little Buzz Lightyear and Doc going on there,
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure,
You make it look great.
Right.
One of the questions I have, because you're so insane on time and everything, roadworthy rescues, what, obviously the TV agronauts, they see, hey, this guy is perfect. We got to get him. And I feel like the TV guys are just, and I'll say this as nice as possible. And I don't mean anything other than nice, but they're just looking because they're looking for content, because TV is kind of I feel like it's kind of on the decline, because people can just get on the YouTubes and go to town, and even social media. And it's no different than the forums and the magazines. It's an old style. And so there had to be a little bit of like, holy crap. So you and Jessica and the boys get together, and how did that all take shape? And did that become a burden, or, and I don't think you're going to answer that in the way, even if it was, and I don't mean that. I just mean that it's a lot. You just went from adding so much more to your plate, but was that one of those things where I got more exposure and I didn't have to do the editing because they're doing it all? Or, you got to be with your brother, you got Rogers in there. So some really cool stuff.
Yeah, no, you've, it's a very, very good question. It's a common question, but you asked it in a very good way, and you made some points already. I'm always blunt. I don't care how blunt I am. I'm blunt to a default. And I will tell you, is it a burden? Yes, 1,000,000%. However, are there positives? Absolutely. first and foremost, we said no to shows for years. We had opportunities early on for multiple different networks and contracting companies. And I felt it was too early. It was too soon. I hadn't quite got my groove. I hadn't quite figured out how to run my business. I hadn't figured out how to manage my time yet. My kids were too young. I didn't want to travel that much. So we said no more than yes. And when we finally agreed to do it, it was under the premise that I would have control. Meaning if they came in and said, you're doing a Nissan Skyline, I would say, nope, sell that. We're going to do a diesel Scout or an old Ford pickup or something different, right? Something that I feel is Americana. And that is the show in a sense, is Americana, grassroots, hot rodding in a sense. But yeah, it's a huge time commitment. If you think about Vice Grip Garage does a minimum of 52 episodes a year. There are several weeks that we do a week straight for racing events and things of that nature. We do about 70 on average. And then you have 12 of Roadworthy Rescues. I'm filming 82 episodes a year minimum, not including lives or events or traveling. So yeah, it is a burden on time, but I'm so very thankful for the reach that we get that I don't get on YouTube, which is linear television, just to show people that we could still wrap seats with Mexican blankets, and we can still make our own white wall tires, and we could still make straight sixes cool, and we could still use torches to lower cars, and it's fine, right? That we haven't lost that the last 40 years. That is what keeps pressing me forward, is just the additional reach to create fans and get people motivated, just like the YouTube channel, to hopefully spark people to get into the garage and, hey, I've got one of those cars, or I've got something similar and I can do that, or I can figure that out. And that to me is the biggest payment. And we just started filming season 3. And I'm going to try to hold both torches, I guess, as long as I can until I fall over. I'll try to run with both of them.
Well, it's a little bit American pickers, because you're going out. I mean, the Scout, let's face it, it's cool that those are still out there. You did a Blazer, the stuff's still out there. And I kind of like, and I almost probably think, you probably already know where some of these are. Maybe they got some scouts that are out looking for you, but I feel like it's like an American pickers that gets to go out. They're really cool rides, and having, Mexican blankets as interiors, by the way, that turned out phenomenal. It's just the only thing I could also see where it would be like, you almost have to find the balance between the two. 'Cause you're like, well, this is what Vice Grip does, and this is what Roadworthy does. And at times you're like, you're kind of bringing it all together, but realize from the audience perspective, we're tuning in for one thing, and we're tuning in for you. So you keep being, well, we love Americana. We love the metal, right? We love the metal. We love the story, but it always has to be the right person giving the story. And you right. see that in automotive shows that haven't really taken off, and really it could be anything that hasn't taken off because it might not be the right person. And you're a genuine person who's bringing it forward, who has a lot of answers. And the best part is when you don't have the answer, you're like, what do you guys think? 'Cause I don't know. Let's just put some gasoline in it. Let's do this. Let's spark it. What do you think? Your brother, you're like, okay, here we go. Let's do it. Sean, what do you think? Bam. Let's go.
Yeah. I mean, it's, I'll never pretend to be a know-it-all. I'm definitely not. And that's where I get a lot of my experiences. Well, last time I did this, I burned all the hair off my arm and lost an eyebrow. So let's try it different this time, And the only downside and the common feedback I get, and I guess it's just the way that my YouTube is I try to show more of the struggling and wherewithal and perseverance and patience on my YouTube channel, because I'm a lot of that time. I'm not restricted to commercial or TV content, where on Roadworthy Rescues on Motor Trend, we have 44 minutes to tell a story. Well, I could tell you that every episode is 80 to 100 hours individually of my time condensed into that little window, right? So it really is a time lapse of sorts of getting those vehicles going. And I sense some of that frustration of my older YouTube users of, well, it just seems really condensed and not the same. Where new fans are like, loved it. Then they come over to my YouTube channel and they're like, oh my gosh, this is a plethora of content, right? And all this stuff. But I try to keep it feeling the same. I mean, I am me. The whole premise of the show is this Vice Grip Garage with someone else holding the cameras and someone else editing it other than me. And we've just got to figure out how to tell this awesome story in 44 minutes. And season 3 is going to be great. We're getting back to just old school road trips, basic, getting it running. Can I make it home? There's nothing elaborate. We're probably going to have less co-hosts just so we can sit in the moment more of me struggling and scratching my head and kind of feel more like Vice Grip, I guess, is how I've received commentary and things of that nature. So that's how I'm going to kind of change it for season 3.
Well, ultimately, too, don't take away that both shows, you make it relatable. And that's what that to me is, it's relatable TV. And because there's no, really punches pulled or there's no smoke and mirrors, and that's where your audience is on to you in Vice Grip, and that's where they're going to roll over and you're going to get crossover either way. So they might come from Vice Grip over, or they might come from Roadworthy, over, but
right.
You make it honest, you make it relatable, and you actually make it motivating for people to say, I can do that. Derek can do that. He's showing me how to do that. I can do that. And we need that. Yeah. And we need that in this world. A guy at work, he's 50. He just finally bought a C10. He's been bothering me for 14 years. He's too cheap. Finally, I go, dude, they're not getting any cheaper. I'm just telling you. He's like, you always talk about me on the show. And I'm like, because you jack around and you didn't want to pay $5,000 because you're cheap ass. So now he finally bought it. And I'm like, bro, you can do everything you can do between YouTube, me, and 10 other guys. You can do it. You need to understand that you can do it. This isn't rocket scientists. This is Chevy trucks. It's not that hard. Yeah. Pour some gas in it, spark it, light it, roll it. Let's go. It's not that hard. Yeah. Otherwise, everybody wouldn't do it. Hey, jump in real quick because I want to make sure. So I've got a few more fun questions for you, but I want to make sure we really hit you've got a new product. You guys have got some different products. You've got a new product. And I feel like, man, you are the perfect guy for this to really push this product, because if anybody knows about Chevrolet hoods, especially when it comes to square body hoods, it's going to be you. And for the audience, you know why we need a product, whether or not you know why the hoods do what they do. Derek's got a new product coming out, and I think you teased us a while. I don't know if it was on the Hemi. Yeah. I can't believe you still put a Hemi in a Chevrolet, but you did. Instead of the heavy half, he put a Hemi half. But then you guys came out with your hood braces, and we do know that there's a multitude of them. So you've got all the big, you've got the Target, the Walmarts, all those big companies that we all buy truck parts from. They have them, but you've got one that's coming out that's got your name on it, and it's going to be the real deal.
Yeah. Thank you for that. It's called the Hood Saver 6000. We've been developing this for I've actually been going on 2 years. So we all know this is an issue with the crumple zone and the Chevrolet hoods, the square body hoods up to 80. They're meant to bend in the middle, obviously, right? So if you don't maintenance the hinges, or you get a little zealous and you pull on the hood, you're going to fold the thing. We just saw it at Mecum. They've been through a lot of auctions that are folded and bent. Beautiful paint jobs just destroyed. And whether it's an NOS hood, an aftermarket hood, or just an original hood, they're all susceptible to bending just based on use, right? So we looked at everything that's on the market today. I literally bought every single hood brace available in this world brought it in, we analyzed it, we scoped it, we looked at the material, we gauged the thickness, we put them through bend tests, we installed them on vehicles and used them. And at the end of it, we said, how do we make something that is superior than all of this? And we did it. We have the Hood Saver 6000. They're 10 gauge steel. They're UV rated, powder coated, outdoor powder coated. So they come red. You don't have to paint. You can paint them. You don't have to. They come with self-tapping hardware or nut-cert hardware, depending on your application, full instructions and color. Everything is made in America. The steel, the laser cutting, the powder coating, the hardware, the packing, the shipping, the engineering, the design. Everything is done right here in America. And it will be the last Hood Saver you ever buy for your square body, period, guaranteed. They're the best on the planet. I'll put it up against anything. Those will be coming out in January 2024. We'll be releasing those on vicegripgarage.com here pretty soon. But yeah, they're a wonderful kit. And whether you're just trying to save your original hood or you've got something that's already bent, these can help you either way.
Okay, I love it. Now, how much are you going to have a special at the front side? What are we looking at here?
No, that's a good question. So as far as the special goes, we don't want to have any gimmicks or tricks or, any sort of entry sales or anything like that. This is a product that I'm not looking to make a bunch of money off of. I'm just looking to save hoods, especially when you look at hoods are anywhere from $300 to $600 today. Let's face it. That's just the way it is. And that's not talking body work. And even if you get an aftermarket hood, you've still got 5 hours of body work, Bondo, and everything else. To make these kits, get them to your door, we're looking about $59.95 approximately for this kit. And it should have everything that you need to get them installed and make it happen. The installation instructions are created by me. You actually see me in the instructions putting them in. So you'll be rest assured that you're not going, the guy that did this is an idiot, or he doesn't know what he's talking about, or he's never touched a square body hood. I've put them in countless times. They're on all my trucks. We've tested them for years. They are legit. They're the real deal.
Well, and here's the thing for the audience. Here's the, and wait, there's more. Well, the bottom line is again, you're a living, breathing square body hood smashing machine. So your hands are as big as both of mine put together. Here's the litmus test for you guys out there. If you have a square body and that hood has not been creased, obviously we could do a whole YouTube thing on left and right and different sizes and little relief, nature's relief cut that some guys put in there. First and foremost, always push in before you push down. Push in before you push down. You can go
towards the cowl and then down.
Yep, and then lube those hinges. But here's the deal: for $60, you can take your Primo hood, whether it's got a little factory, some dude Charlie put a relief cut in it because he already bent it once and then he straightened it out. I understand that we don't always want to have the hood saver there, even if we have a mint hood. But like for Orange Slice, I have a mint hood. It's worth it. It's worth it because I don't ever want somebody to slam that thing, and I would probably beat them up and then go to jail because I'd lose my freaking mind, because it is crazy. I just bought a truck. I still need to go get a 73, 74. And the lady's like, oh, I said, what about the hood? So she sends me a picture of the passenger side, of course. And she goes, yes, it was mint. And then Charlie, some guy, closed it. And I'm like, no, why did you let some guy close it that doesn't know what he's doing? So here we go. Either way. And another thing, and Derek's crew cab, what is it? The Cat Farm crew cab is a perfect example of why you will go up to a square body and you'll be like, why do you have a 79 hood on that truck? That's not a 79. Well, you know why? Because 73 to 78, they crunched them down so much that they've got a new hood somewhere along the line. And that's why if you don't know what a 79 hood looks like, it's a little unique because on the front, it's got a little pop out And there's a reason why those newer hoods are a lot of older trucks, because people just wrench those hoods over.
Yep. And we took that into consideration. You're talking about these nicer trucks, is we didn't want a device, and that's what we were finding when we bought all these other, we're not going to call them competitors, these other brands that made brackets, is they're more of an eyesore. Like, that's clearly a Band-Aid. There's something wrong with this hood. Where I wanted to make a bracket that if people see this, they go, oh, that's the Vice Grip Garage hood saver. They're trying to save their hood, or they've saved it correctly. It's a beautiful piece. It's laser cut. It's powder coated. It's not an eyesore. It's completely paintable or customizable. And people aren't going to look at it and go, oh, geez, that's gross. You know, on an original truck with 50,000 miles, we got this brace. You know, it's wow, good on the owner for putting this on here. That makes complete sense that they're trying to save the original hood, because it's only original once.
It's like contraceptive. It's preventive maintenance. Listen, you want to do it? How do you want to do it? Dude, I have a truck. I'm going to send you a picture of this. I have a truck. I think it's a Blazer, and it has a piece of 1 inch angle iron run like the whole way because somebody tacoed it so bad that they just thought, oh, I'll just put some angle iron in here, and it's crisscross applesauce. It's not even running north and south. It's running across state lines because some guy. I mean, I can't imagine you don't see it all, because those old people. And you're right. It's all about those hood hinges, and they were meant to taco for front head-on collisions so they didn't decapitate people, but it's a flaw in the system for sure.
Before you buy these, make sure you do preventative things like just grease those hinges. Make sure that you're pushing your hood towards the cowl and you give it a little bit of a shake when coming down. You might not need to buy these braces. If you have that little slot or the slit in there, you could flatten this out with some, what do they call those clamps that you can kind of squeeze? What are those things? I don't know what they're called.
Just welding clamps?
Welding clamps, maybe. You can flatten that hood and maybe put a little bit of a weld in there before you go on to this, just trying to save you some money. But if you want to skip all that rigmarole, I got you covered.
Here's the problem is once that metal's got that little crease in there and it's got that little Charlie relief cut that he, some old boy already put in because he bent it and he tried to straighten it out. Sorry, it's kind of doomed.
Pretty much
my son had an 80 Camaro, and I've told him for, since he was 2 years old, how to close these hoods. And sure enough, man, he tacoed that thing and he was just disgusted with himself. Exact same thing. So what's that? That's a second gen. That's a late second gen Camaro. And same thing. Yeah. Z28 and pushed it down instead of pushed it in. And that'll get you. So he was, that it only takes one time to be completely pissed off and disgusted with yourself. And you won't do it again. But Derek and the Vice Grip Garage folks got you handled. You guys have a few other products. What else do you have besides do you still have your sweet sauce or your shine juice? Hey guys, stoked to have Max Custom Tie Downs as our tie down solution. You think about it. You're always hauling stuff, you're moving stuff, you want the best. Not only is Max the best, they're made in the US of A. So if you're like me and you want the best, think Max. That's MaxCustomTieDowns.com.
Since the 1960s, US Mags has held the title for the longest running custom wheel tradition. Experience the wheels that made history and set the trends for American truck culture for decades to come. From cast wheels to full custom 1- and 2-piece forged wheels, US Mags keeps you and your truck in mind with every new design and model. Our cast wheel series are designed specifically for Chevy trucks and are stocked and ready to ship, giving you the wheels you need when you need them with perfect fitment. Set your ride apart with our custom forged wheels, available in just about any finish and fitment desired. US Mags are guaranteed to distinguish your style and attitude from the rest.
Hey guys, I've got Andrew from Painless Wiring on. Andrew, what's the latest?
Just working on producing these GM truck harnesses, our best moving vehicle specific, and we're just, super excited to be able to service such a great community of truck guys.
Made in the USA. You guys are probably cranking them out nonstop. A ton of our audience is out there buying these trucks, building these trucks, and they know, hey, Painless Performance has got me taken care of.
factory options, aftermarket stuff. If you have any questions, call our tech guys. They'll walk you through anything you need to know, and we'll make sure your truck gets wired up right the first time.
If you want to clean up your underdash, you want to clean up your chassis, it's that easy. Painlessperformance.com, painlessperformance.com. Thanks, Andrew. You guys have a few other products. What else do you have besides do you still have your sweet sauce or your shine juice?
Yeah, so we've got an oil-based, we call it shine juiced. It's just a very simple wipe-on product. You can use it on literally anything. I'm talking wood, plastic, vinyl, paint, rust, bare metal, any sort of acrylic, lacquer, base coat, clear coat. Anything you wipe this on is going to give you a matte or satin finish, and it takes absolutely zero skill to put it on. You can just dump it on. Well, we send you rags with it, but you could just dump it on a pair of old undies or a t-shirt or whatever. Wipe it on, let it dry. It dries to a non-sticky finish. It has a really good kind of a Bieri car wash kind of smell. And it's a non-permanent solution. So depending on where you live and your environment, you might have to do it a couple times a year, but it's great to spiff up before you go to a car show, or, in the spring before summer when you're driving your rig or whatever else. And then we also have a permanent system. We have an actual high quality urethane paint system in matte, satin, and high gloss. That is also a wipe on. It is one of the only wipe on clear coat systems in the world. You can literally just mix it up in a cup, dip our microfiber cloth that we send with you, wipe it on your rig, and it'll leave a shiny finish, or I guess depending on the system. If you want to spray it, you can. And that is the same way. It has a proprietary mechanical adhesion, so you can wipe it over oxide primers, different kinds of paints, bare metal, rust, rot. It literally doesn't matter. If you wipe it on, it's going to have the shine or sheen that you bought. It's a really simple system to use.
One thing you said was, the underwear. Let's just keep Mama's lingerie out of the deal, because that's going to cost you. So if you're using an old pair of lingerie and Mama catches you putting the shine juice on there, that little bit of soul glow on there for you guys born, grew up in the 80s. Stay away from the lingerie and the tiny undies. She might let you get rid of the grandma panties, but you guys better be careful on that.
Underwears, there is no warranty on streaks.
That's right. That's right. Streaks come with it. Okay, so I want to just some randos here for you. You obviously you've had just a plethora of cars and trucks that come through. You get to keep one truck. Which one are you keeping?
One truck.
Even if you've already sold it, one that you've had and or have, and you can only keep one.
I think that would be the Cat Farm Crew Cab. I originally wanted to think my first vehicle ever, which was a 74 C10 Camper Special. But I have more memories with the Cat Farm Crew Cab because I picked that up with my family, and my boys and I have spent hundreds of hours of refurbing that, and they've helped in many, many ways. So every time I click that button and have to slam that door 5 times, it brings back memories of, my kids and the family. And I'll have that truck, I'm sure, for the rest of my life. It's just, for me, it's not only about the truck and the style, it's the memory. And I know that they're going to care about it when I'm long gone someday.
Yeah, for sure. I sold that Yellowstone one right there, 73 crew, and my kids were so done with it. And then when it was gone, they're like, well, we love that truck. And I'm like, yeah, you guys are cracking me up. I'm like, we love that truck. And they will actually, same. They'll always have a lot of, we piled them all in the back, and we'd grab my nephew because it was a 3x3. So we'd put the young daughter up front in between mom and dad, or I'd put mom next to me and put her on the window. And then, we'd have a little 3x3, get all 6 of us in there. But yeah, they're fun trucks. And any truck that has an ashtray in the back it's a no brainer. It's really a no.
Oh yeah, they're classy units, man. That's a cowboy Cadillac right there.
You got to have that. Okay, how about one car? You can keep one car, whether you've had it or have it, or.
Oh, that is so tough. I've got a couple of unicorns out there that I have 2 unicorns left in my life, but they're not even it. I think the car that I want to keep more than anything is my daddy's 56 Buick. I was very, very young when I remember him explaining to me what Bondo was and why he was using it and what does grit mean on sandpaper, and showing me. I remember him today rubbing my fingers on the sandpaper and showing me the differences, and watching him restore that car, and then later on in my life restoring it myself, only to lose it to a fire, unfortunately, to owning it again. That is one car. I might be buried in it. I don't know. We'll have to wait and see, but that's one car I will never let go. It'll never be out of my sight again. It's my dad's 56 Buick Special 2-door hardtop.
That's I like that. That's I mean, and that might be what one of the boys feels like with the crew cab, because they grew up in it, and it's the fond memories of learning everything. So that's good. That's what it's all about. That's what it's all about for all of us. And that's why we always want that one that we let go, because we had good memories of it and we forgot about it, and then we want it back,
Right. Exactly. Yeah. 100%.
Okay. Now, but I don't think the money's going to be the problem, but let's just say you got 150 grand. And you can, I don't care. You can have all the money you want, because I don't think you're going to blow the budget. What's the one car or truck you want that you don't have or haven't ever had, and you want to have it?
1972 De Matasso Pantera.
Can you fit in a Pantera? Can you fit in a Pantera?
I probably won't fit. And it's been one of those things, like, I had 2 posters when I was a kid on my wall, car posters, because they didn't have muscle car posters when I was a kid. I don't know about you, but they didn't exist, right?
They were all Lamborghinis, and there was Mustangs. Right. I would say there was Mustangs and maybe like Corvette Summer if you want, but they weren't Chevelles. They weren't, muscle. The only thing we did have was the iron-on T-shirts that had the muscle cars, the stacks coming out and.
Right. If you were lucky enough to shop at Walmart when I was a kid, like I was. But I had a Lamborghini Countach, like a red Lamborghini poster, and I had a yellow 72 Pantera poster on my wall.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
I would look at those 2 posters and go, man, what would that feel like to own those 2 cars? Well, as I got older, the Lamborghini and I split sheets. It's not my handbag. I don't know. I don't know what it is. It's too exotic. It's too expensive. Average guy can't work on it. Where you go Pantera, hey, during that time frame, 84% of that company was owned by Ford, and they had a Cleveland in them. But they also had some supercar stuff. But it was also ghetto enough to put a stereo on its side because they didn't know how to fit it into the dash. And I'm like, that's my car. That is the supercar for Vice Grip Garages. But the problem is they're not affordable anymore. I'm going to have to find something that's rotted or no chassis or wrecked, or, because I don't want to buy one and, turn my noses up, so to speak, to people. And I want to do it anyway. It's not a good way to spend money. I have to find something that I could build and be okay with. So if and when I pass, my kids could profit or make some money off of it.
Well,
so fingers.
2 things. 1.7 million subscribers. I'm sure there's a Pantera out there that's probably really Vice Grip worthy, and it's junked out with some cancer and needs some Derek in its life. That I can guarantee. So for the audience out there, let them know. I never have thought about this. Okay. I grew up the same thing, from Heather Thomas on my wall to hauling ass posters to Porsches and Lamborghinis and Ferraris and all that. I've never thought about this. You just clarified this whole thing for me. The Lambo, have you ever seen the video? It's called the Hot Wife Matrix.
No.
Okay. Well, you need to. Because it's a lot along the lines of your philosophies, at least my perceived philosophies of who Derek is. So you have the axis, and what it is the hotter she is, then the crazier she's going to be. And eventually, as you grow older, you realize that the craziness, you start to not really care, because you're like, I don't want the hottest one because that's going to mean more problems. And that is kind of what the Lambo is starting to, it's becoming clear that you have that attraction as a young man, and you think that's super cool. And it is, it still doesn't go away. But what happens is that's why the Chevrolets and the C20s and the custom deluxes are so handsome, because you're like, that son of a bitch is gorgeous. It's going to run. It's going to take me to the mall. It's going to do everything I need to do. And I still think it's pretty damn sexy. Or I can have this Lambo and it's nothing but problems. Cost me a ton of money. I think they're V12s and shit. I don't even know. And it's nothing but problems. So yeah, it's the hot wife matrix. It's the hot car matrix that means it's going to be nothing more than problems.
Well, and I've never seen a Lambo with a glove box full of 1157 light bulbs and a gun rack in the back window either.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah. You got to have those 1157s because everybody's got them. You got some fuses, you got a lighter, you got some matchbooks. What else you got in there? You've got your little fuse puller in your glove. They're all just rattling around in there. Maybe some Tums. I bought Orange Slice, which is part of it's right there. And the guy had Tums in the glove box and Tums in the door panels. I was like, I leave them in there because I got to keep them in there because the old boy that bought it, you had it before me, he had Tums in there.
Yeah, he's like, runs great. And you're like, why is everything in here full of Tums? Clearly, this truck gave you heartburn.
Yeah, he gave himself heartburn. The funny thing about Orange Slice, and my audience generally knows this, but the old boy, that truck changed so much that the old boy came back to Arizona from Montana, and I gave him a spin in it, and he was just tickled left to right. And I don't remember if I pulled out some of the Tums and gave them to him, but I think I told him, hey, I still got some Tums in here if you need them.
Oh, that's pretty cool. That's awesome.
That's what it's all about. Okay, so we've got that down. I think I hit pretty much everything. You've got merch. You guys can get online, Vice Grip Garage. We will push it out. So when the hood brackets become available, we'll make sure we're going to push that out. And you've got merch. You've got the Shine Juice. Just don't use Mama's Lingerie. Did you ever think 1.7 million subscribers on your way to 2 million? Did you even fathom that when you started this whole thing?
No, I mean, being completely blunt, and I've said this numerous times, I mean, my whole goal when starting this was I just want to put some videos out there and share some tips and tricks on how to be savvy and save some money and just prove that the average guy can succeed in having hot rods and old vehicles. And our goal, our business goal, and I still have this piece of paper somewhere in this mess behind me, was if we could reach 1,000 subscribers and make $700 a month, then we could pay the mortgage on our shop, which is where we filmed at, and I would be happy. That's all I wanted. And man, we were so blessed to just nail this hockey stick growth. It's just been incredible. It's been a super blessing, and we're thankful to be producing content still today that are along the same lines, and hopefully we can continue to do it until I'm crawling or in a wheelchair or something. I don't know.
Has YouTube been difficult because you were in on it so early and you were a top performer early, and now because everybody and their mother wants to do content, is it a struggle because they start to change things around as well?
Yeah, that's a great question. And I haven't told anybody this yet, but we actually just took a massive pay cut this year. They're accusing us of being too crafty with how we produce content and how people are using our content. For example, there's a lot of bars and restaurants and people that now play our playlists, which we spend a lot of time creating just on loop. And they're now accusing us that we're cheating the system or something of that nature. But in reality, YouTube is the one making the money because their ads are playing. We get pennies for that. But early on, our business practice was, if we're going to make a channel and we're going to take a stab at this, we're going to create a business of it. And we started creating the long format videos, and I've been credited multiple times as kind of being the GOAT or the godfather of long format automotive content, because there were a lot of channels that were very successful, but they were all in the 20 to 30 minute time frame because they were held to commercial constraints or agreements. For example, Roadkill, which is a great show, they were all shorter. And I wanted to be different, and I wanted to provide more of a cinematic experience and something that a family could sit down and watch it, for a long evening. And we kind of broke that mold extremely early on in late 2018. And I said, well, I'm just going to start making movies, basically, without all the cinematic production. But and I think a lot of that has been challenging for us because YouTube views us differently than the more successful YouTube channels. Like, for example, Mr. Beast, who has 748 trillion subscribers. He has very short videos that are very whip snappy and just flashing lights and lasers. And maybe I'm too old fashioned, but I can't get into that. So even if we're reprimanded and even if we're going to take a nosedive and pay, we're going to kind of continue our format and just kind of have this consistent, more of a, for lack of a better term, Netflix show feel kind of aura for Vice Grip Garage going forward.
Well, the recipe's working, and obviously you continue to get subscribers. So I do feel like that's a struggle that people are going to have, and you nailed it. YouTube's making plenty of money on those ads, and people are watching those ads at the bar, just no different than they're watching them at TV on Sunday, family home evening or something like that. It's kind of ironic. But the other thing I wonder about is, do you have a benchmark? Do you have a personal goal for Roadworthy Rescue? Do you have a personal, like, hey, I'd like to make 5 years. I'd like to do this many years. And I also know that there's a level of, just from knowing some of the Gas Monkey guys, hey, once you get so far, they can syndicate things and so on and so forth. And who knows, TV's constantly changing. But do you have a personal, when I say personal, I think it's you and your family. I don't think you're making a lot of decisions just on yourself. I think you and Jessica are sitting down and making decisions. Do you have a goal in that you'd like to get 5 seasons out of that?
No, to be honest, for us, it was, after saying no for so long, it was finally to the point where we thought we had, because, like, for example, it's late December 23 today. I'm scheduled all the way through November of next year, every minute of every day. I mean, you've experienced this as trying to get this done. We are fully booked. So we're in the sights far ahead of what we're trying to accomplish. And for this show, it was finally like, okay, well, next year, I think we could take on a year. Let's do a season, see what happens, see how it fits, see how it drives, see how it affects our personal life, because I will not miss a football game, a teacher conference, something with my children. I will not do it. I don't care. Do not care what it is. I won't sacrifice that time. So we sat down and was like, hey, this year's the year. So we did the year, and I said, hey, if we don't get another season, I'm good. We did it. We tried it, whatever. Well, we were number 1 for almost a full year, and we slid to number 2 towards the latter year after our shows didn't start coming out. We're still performing the same today, season 2. So now it's kind of like ride the wave. I guess we're just gonna keep creating content, and as long as I could figure out a way to keep that life work balance going, and God bless the people that watch the show and make it, successful. We're just going to keep doing it, and if next season is the last season, great. I'm blessed, happy.
Yeah.
If it goes 15, sweet. We'll do that too. But for those of you that are hoping that I do, supercars or 6-figure builds, it's not going to happen. It's not going to change. It's going to be the same show forever and ever. Amen.
you can hope somewhere else is exactly what you can do. All right. I'm going to take you out with this. And I never even thought about this until you kind of just said that. If I gave you a week, because I think 2 weeks is just too far fetched. If I gave you a week, and this is just more of a human perspective, not necessarily the channels or the show. I gave you a week and I said, hey, you've got the money, you've got everything you need. What are you going to do? And you can't work on BGG. You can't work on any TV. Are you still working on cars? Are you going to take the family to the Bahamas? Are you going to take them up to Canada? What would you want to do for a week when you had a week off?
That's a really great question. And it's actually a very easy answer. I would go back to the farm in North Dakota and, we would just enjoy ranch and farm life. We would work cattle. We would work the farm. We would just fix equipment and enjoy family and make good suppers and enjoy company and play cards, and the kids would play and just we refer to it as like the 50s to 60s lifestyle. There's no TV, there's no telephone. We don't care. It's just people's company and just good old ranch life. To me, that's my reprieve. That's my counseling. That's my reset button, if you will, is just working on the farm and ranch.
Well, and I love that answer because in my mind, and just we're the same era, that's a simpler time. And that time in your mind and your memory, and obviously your boys have experienced that and your wife as well. So do you find it ironic that for us growing up as kids, it was Dukes of Hazzard on Friday night, and that was about it. You might have some A-Team in there somewhere, some Smurfs on Saturday morning.
Yeah.
But do you find it ironic that you are now the TV guy, that you are providing? So no TV, we're going ranch life, and then my day job is entertainment, is providing content.
Yeah, that's still really perplexing for me to kind of comprehend. I mean, because I'm so blessed for my fans. They're so awesome. And I meet them all over the place. I was just at Tractor Supply getting a hydraulic hose and some hydraulic fluid for my tractor. And there was a guy in there, probably late 70s. And he's like, I got to tell you, son, your show is the salt of the earth. It makes my day. Love what you're doing. It takes me back. And it's just like grounding. It's just like, what I'm doing is right. And I often sometimes forget that because you're so busy and you're just in the moment. You sometimes lose sight of how you're impacting or affecting other people's lives. But I'm so thankful to have that opportunity. And it's really funny because in a roundabout way, when I go back home, when we go to the small cafe that's been there since, I don't know, 1948 or whatever.
People still smoking inside.
those
are always the cafes. You're eating breakfast in their hash browns and they got ashtrays right next.
Yeah. The huge, canters of coffee and smoking and oil-soaked coveralls. And they're telling all these back in my day stories. And you're thinking, well, back in my day already was the good day, right? So you start to understand. Well, I always used to tease those people as your kids, right? Like, oh, this old guy was talking about back in the day, blah, blah, blah. But it's like, I don't want to let go of that. And maybe that's one of the reasons I love 60s, 70s, 80s trucks so much, is that to me was the heyday. And I don't want to let go of that. That was my back in the day already. And it's just kind of funny how you start to connect the dots.
You're preaching it. Yeah. It's a simpler time. And it's, we're lucky to grow up. And I always tell people, you just don't know it. You didn't know it then. And now we know it now, and you want it then because you're in now. I know that's a lot of hard to keep up with that, but that's
but
what it
makes
is.
sense, right?
No, yeah. Why didn't I know this then? And I try to tell people we do know what we know now. Like even in the C10 movement, I'm like, don't be mad that you didn't realize and stop and smell the C10s, because we are in a movement, and someday they're not going to be as popular. No, it's happened to Corvettes and Camaros and 32 Fords, and it's going to happen. And I'm not going anywhere because I love them to death, and I'm not going anywhere. But some people have already phased in and phased out, and they'd spend $200,000 on a truck, and they come to a couple shows, and then they move on to the next cool thing. But some of us are here to stay, and don't realize it. So we could probably go on forever, but I hope you take more Derek days. I hope you can find those in there and make sure you get one a month or something like that. You get to just slow things down. We love the content. Love the genuineness of it and the relatability of it. So I hope you and Jessica and the boys have a phenomenal Christmas. We're appreciative of you making time because this has been a little bit where, he joked a little bit, but yeah, I've been chasing this for a while. So stoked about the Hood Saver 6000s and anything else we can help you do.
Thanks. I appreciate it. And thanks for being patient. And, to the whole C10 community, appreciate you guys. Keep your nose down, keep wrenching. And whatever your project is, just remember, you got to keep working on that thing or it ain't going to happen. That's all there is to it.
That's it. Don't give up. Don't sell it. Set yourself up for success. Buy something that's probably running and driving, depending on your ability already. Because like you've heard me say a million times, I don't want to see it in the garage. Your wife doesn't want to see it in the garage, broke down, tore apart. You'll get pissed off it, and she's going to get pissed off it. Buy something that you can pour some gas in and like Derek does all the time and make it run.
Yep, for sure.
All right, dude. Have a great Christmas. Happy New Year, and nothing but the best in 24 for you, brother.
All right, thanks. Appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
Hell yeah. What a good time, right? Did you make it to the end? Derek, thanks again for sitting down with C10 Talk and the C10 Nation. For you guys out there, have a great night. Be safe. Bring on 2024. If you think you've got what it takes to get behind the mic, let me know. Ronnie at trucktalkmedia.com. Don't forget to register for the reunion. We're going to cap it at 600. That's all we can handle. That's max capacity. And that's it. Bring on 2024. I hope you enjoyed the pod. We've got some great content coming your way. If you've got somebody or something you want to hear about, something to bring up, let us know. I'll make it happen. Shoot me an email, Ronnie at trucktalkmedia.com. And we look forward to bringing you the best content we can. And just this community keeps kicking ass, keeps thriving, and it wouldn't be what it is without all of you guys. Have a great 2024. Be safe. Late.